The Court of Public Opinion is a part of the Amateur Radio Network. Thank you for listening to the Court of Public Opinion. I hope this offers maybe some more in-depth opinions on topics that I think we've been touching on, social justice issues, okay? And interestingly enough, I found out, and then some of you who pay attention to this stuff, that Snopes is now going to be the one to vet social media news. Good luck there. Because remember what we were telling you guys originally from our original reports? Snopes was caught into prostitution. So I don't know how that works out, but now they decide who's reporting on or vetting news. So I guess we shall see. Okay, let's talk about some things. Okay, let's talk about what's going on the ground. It's real easy to get pissed off at people. Okay. And I have a tendency to get irritated and annoyed just like anyone else, right? And, I have a long fuse, and I will tolerate a lot of things. But what I don't, over a long period of time, it doesn't have to be a long period of time. In my attention span, it might be like 10 minutes, depending on what kind of day I'm having. But I don't have a tendency to get irritated, but I do stew about things, okay? That's why we do these reports. And what really should get under all of our skin is we don't have to ignore what's going on overall what's going on out there, okay? I don't know that I have a discussion with everybody every day about it, but obviously we discuss it in social media. So therefore we are having a discussion, okay? We are talking about topics that matter to you and me. What matters to a lot of the liberal progressive people that have been debating about specific issues regarding, we've touched on the pipeline, which I think separated the liberals from the neoliberals. And I very much heard what that debate is. And I think that's a very good way to point out you can separate the two. Because in the liberal movement, progressive movement, or progressive issues, they are divided extremely. There's a neoliberal versus the average progressive liberal, which a lot of people have already migrated and they don't find themselves anywhere. They just know that, okay, yes, I am progressive, but I don't hold the same views as Hillary Clinton. There is obviously important things to be mentioned here, which is really truly happening among progressive groups. They are very divided, and clearly something a lot of the people that would find themselves on the right issue have also been divided, okay? It goes back to the establishment, the debate that has been led to where we're at today, and why it is that a lot of people ended up voting for Donald Trump. Not that I think a lot of people agree with what Donald Trump has said and done, because you got to be very careful. There are sensitive topics, okay? We would like to think that we're careful. I mean, his tactic is to just go after the problem, tackle it, and answer questions later, okay? That's sometimes how some people maybe, I want to say, aggressively attack problems. And some problems, they don't have time anymore on that clock. These problems needed to be tackled long time ago. So maybe what has happened is so many people disagree with Donald Trump's tactics, maybe the way he goes about it. And I think that's a very valid point, because not everybody's used to that aggressive, forceful push to tackle all these problems at once. Some of us need to come up for air, personally, okay? So while I might not like the way certain people go about certain things, I can see there's something relevant to that. Okay, you have to tackle the problem. Should you go after the media for it, or should you? Do we need Snopes to vet it? Not really. I never had to ask permission from Snopes how to think or feel. I mean, I'm 46 years old. I might be actually older than some of these social moguls. Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to debate. But on personal issues, like okay, let's look at the fake news versus very fake news. Okay, this is big, because now people are just having a good time and laughing it off, but at the expense of people's personal reputation, political capital. People aren't willing to put themselves in, I want to say, in the crossfire, more or less. Some people are uncomfortable being thrown in there. I look at it this way: you're going to be there and you're going to show up at a White House briefing, or you're going to be in the midst of that. You probably should be ready for anything. That's how I see it. That's probably a shared opinion that many people have. I would hold that same opinion, that if I'm going in there into the White House press briefing and I raised my hand and said, President Donald Trump, I have a question for I'm representing the court of public opinion. He says, yes. And I say, well, a lot of people don't share the same views as everybody, but overall, I think most people don't fill out an application, whether they're left, right, and progressive or this, that. I just think they want to better understand a different approach. Is there another way to approach this topic without like beating people up politically, more or less? That's a fair question to ask. I think a lot of people are on the firing line, and some of them, they ask for it, by the way. They put themselves there, and I can't apologize for you or some of you that put yourself in that position. That's on you. But overall, I think the opinion is that they don't want to see the media overall make a generalization that all people in the media are out to hurt each other or hurt American people, because I just think that is a stretch. I think most people that watch media, I think you can be sensitive to a degree, but if you put yourself into the firing line, and some of us would say, well, you ask for what, if you put yourself there, you ask for it, sort of, kind of. It's just that way. I don't know what else to say. I mean, if I'm in a group of people, and a majority of them are New Yorkers, and the way they drive up there, and just assume that they have the mentality of a New York City cab driver, I'm probably going to get run over. So why would it be different in a White House press briefing room if you put yourself in there? Or in the case of Snoops, if Snoops decides that they're going to be the ones to vet all this news, but they were charged with prostitution ring, then I'm just kind of curious. I mean, they were involved in a prostitution ring, so now they got the moral authority. Okay, that's why we have the court of public opinion. That's the whole point. Since when did they become the moral authority? Anybody? I mean, anybody want to chime in and let me know? I'm just kind of curious because, I don't have to fact check everything to have an opinion, which I think is held by experience, schema. We've talked about that, and we like to think that we could have a overall discussion about this. This is not like we're going to get political with you, but we don't. We know that people have, some integrity, and political capital could be. You could argue that some people would lose their political capital if they're going to get run over by like a Mack truck in front of a bunch of their peers. Okay, so I think that's very important. We don't want to personally embarrass people to the point, but if they do put themselves in there, they should weigh out the fact that they are in fact going in front of the President of the United States, who in fact is from New York, and they have a tendency to, go after and tackle problems I guess aggressively, if you will. But I think that because the problems have been, let's say, ignored, more or less, how else would you approach it? I mean, do we wait another 8 years till the problem's so bad? I mean, that's the whole point, that some problems you can't afford to sit on. They are unavoidable. without resolving conflict, without negotiating, without resolving conflict, we can't move forward. And problem is in America is that we're stuck in this whole 1960s, like, you know, I don't know, redux. Maybe it's just the idea that, people like the lifestyle. Maybe, okay, let's argue one thing. Maybe you like the liberal lifestyle, but you don't hold those liberal views anymore. People hold their liberal views because of their lifestyle choices. I mean, that's basically what they're not willing to throw away is that, I'm not liberal, but I like to go along with some of the liberal views. Or some people are like very conservative in their personal life, but they hold some liberal opinions. I don't know. Like I said, I think you divide this issue up and you can really tackle and exploit this topic. It does deserve to be exploited. There are a lot of people that are very much pro-life in their personal business, but they believe that's not their point. That they irrespectively are not responsible for other people's behavior. I think that's very irresponsible. I think you're held to, the only standard that you should be held to is the standard in which you enforce, whether in personally, and you have your personal convictions. You can. So no, I'm not going to be giving anybody wrong information on purpose. I've even would argue that a lot of people have some real conflicting issue or a real conflict of an interest. And some people at churches spend more time sitting there being pissed off at people that they're really not focused on church. And some people will go as far as that. I just find it's disingenuous to go to church if I don't hold strong religious views. There's some people will go to church only casually, like once a year. I mean, I'm not looking for the perfect Christian. I'm not looking for the perfect anything. I know there's a lot of people that are arguably always debating. I'm like, they're not Christian enough because they don't go to Catholic Mass every Wednesday. Well, I mean, I know a lot of good Catholics that don't go to church 5 days a week. They go 3 days a week. So it depends on where we are at. But I think there's a lot of people that would say that overall, it's how you approach these topics. Are you being realistic? Common sense says that not everybody can get to church every Sunday because they might have like things that happen. And some people find other options to how they approach or tackle problems. And maybe it's not always about attacking each other. Maybe it's just tackling the problem. I hope that a lot of us have been able to at least get a grip on why it is that we should do more in the respect to, exploit the topic, not the people, because I don't want to get into grouping people by categorizing or, putting a label on you. I mean, all my life, that's all we've ever grown up around is labels. Like, if you didn't wear this fashion label, you really weren't in. It's true. I'm not pretending this is not important. There's still people like this. They would rather, status symbol matters. And status is more of like a kind of a cliquey thing. So, I mean, I'd like to think we're all people first and we could categorize each other later. Although I do like some of the cars that they drive, by the way. And while I might not agree with the girl that snubbed me off and with her nose in the air, I did like her car, and she did have some really great tricycle wheels for her kid. So anyway, but I mean, when I think of somebody personally, I totally, somebody can rub me the wrong way, and that's it. If you rub me the wrong way, I'm not going to take too much time in debating with you. I'm just going to shut down the debate, and I'm not going to debate with you. There are a lot of people that have rubbed me the wrong way, and once you rub me the wrong way, I don't know that you win me back that easily. In fact, I like to think that we're all trying to be kind and considerate to a degree, but that doesn't mean I am just going to be somebody that you're going to walk all over and just go over and over. I'm just not going to open myself up for that. At some point, some of us have to say, okay, listen, in all fairness, I'll open up this forum. and then we're going to be able to tackle this. But if you rub me the wrong way, and I personally don't like you, it don't matter what your political views are. It won't matter if if you're going to lose political capital or not. If you rub me the wrong way, you rub me the wrong way. And I think a lot of people have built this political view is more or less that some people just are not in agreement. It doesn't matter what they hold political. They might show enough respect just to walk away and be civil. If that's all they can do is be civil, then that's the best they can do. I'm not gonna get heartbroken because we ended up not liking each other. I hold some strong views and convictions, and my strong views and convictions, while I have altered, obviously every time I even really walk away from what I hold important, I find myself really in conflict. So my life is not about being constantly in conflict. I have to let go of some of these things and go back to, well, maybe what I think and believe is important. I hold some strong values. I value myself. I value the people around me. I value their opinion. I value their life and their hard work. I also value their reputation. I value self-respect. There's just a lot to value. So to just call everybody ignorant is just not how we go about it. We like to approach it differently. But if you're going to get hit with a Mack truck, you're going to get hit with a Mack truck. And I'm going to want to yank you out of the way, okay? Don't matter what I think of you personally sometimes, because I might not even know you that well. But I'm not going to sit here and argue that everybody purposely goes out of the way to be ignorant or unfair. I know there are some people that it comes naturally. Being ignorant comes naturally. I mean, they're gifted. What can I say? I mean, that's the truth. I've met some real ignorant people that don't have money, and I've also met some very ignorant people that do have money. So one could say, well, it's because they all have money. That's not true, because I know a lot of ignorant people that are broke and poor too. And some of it, they brought it on themselves. And I also agree that while some people might not have money or been poor, or some people have money and have been comfortable, having a comfortable lifestyle, aren't going out of the way to be purposely unfair or ignorant. So to sit here and debate whether it's by class or status or, income bracket, that's just irresponsible. It's unfair, and it's actually really foolish. But I do know there's a lot of people that are broke that could really afford to pay attention and listen. And there's also people in the middle class. Well, if you're in middle management, you have a responsibility to the people you work with. And especially if you work in the healthcare industry, you don't want to get into this debate that some people are just so poor that they're just useless. That's not how it really is. Okay. But I know also that there are people that are poor and broke that they need to pay attention. But it would be premature that if you would go out there and just casually put yourself in there and know that you're going to be one lost person, well, you should just know that you'll be a casualty, because a lot of people who aren't wise or smart become casualties and victims. And that is exactly the problem, is that victim mentality has to change. People will get educated. They'll be able to wise up and sharpen their skills. And believe me, a lot can be done when you use the intelligence. And it's just the idea that so many people have missed out on that, or missed out on really having somebody lay the groundwork for what's out there, what's important. I'd say the average person that's smart and has common sense, they have a pretty good idea. But overall, they have to be able to at least make time to be involved, to stay involved, and just keep up with it. Otherwise, then they find themselves in that low information voter category. Exercising some authority and caution, and also using what you've been blessed with, the gift to discern, and believe me, you will improve in every area of your life. Thank you for listening.